Welcome to JAIIB English Medium channel. Today in the increment series, we'll be talking about Indian economy and Indian financial system. And the module A, which we are covering this time, has 11 units, out of which 8 units we have already covered. Now we are left with only 3 units. So if you have not covered those 8 units, after watching this video, you should go and watch all those 8 lectures, because ultimately the foundation of your Indian economy will be laid via those 8 lectures. Okay, so let's move on to today's class, that is International Economic Organization. So with a brief background, let me just tell you that how the particular international economic organizations, be it your International Monetary Fund, or for that matter, World Bank Group, and somewhere around the idea of WTO started. So during the Second World War, you will find the nations involved in the Second World War, they were very much concerned about the depleting financial resources. They were not at all having the required financial resources to run their nations after the World War will be over. So the heads of all these nations, they sat together in USA, right? Where we have one particular location, that is New Hampshire, in which Bretton Woods is located. Right? So a conference was held at a place known as Bretton Woods, and the outcome of this particular conference was the formation of IMF and World Bank. And that is the reason why we say these two institutions, IMF and World Bank, they are the Bretton Woods institutions. Simple. So the Bretton Woods institutions, they are International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD, which is now known as World Bank. Today, if you see, World Bank is not a single institution. It is known as the World Bank Group, wherein you will find IBRD, you will also see IDC, then IDA, then you will be having the IFC, plus MEGA is also there, and lastly the arbitrator as ICSID. Okay, but initially when the Bretton Woods organizations were formed, we used to say that IBRD is the financial organization which provides long-term loans to the needy nations. And ultimately, these four organizations were also formed, which ultimately clubbed together are known as the World Bank Group. Okay, so first thing, your World Bank Group is an outcome of your Bretton Woods institution, or the or the conference. And second important one is International Monetary Fund, that is IMF. So these two organizations, we can say that they are the outcome of the discussion held in Bretton Woods conference. They were set up at a meeting which is famously known as United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference of 43 countries in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, USA, in July 1944. Very important point to be highlighted is that in July 1944, these uh, were set up. But when India became the member of IMF, that is also a very important point. The next year, that is in 1945, December, you will find India will become the member of your IMF. What was the outcome of the conference? See, outcome was very simple, that since you do not have the required financial resources to run your country, then you must align the currency of your country with a particular benchmark. And that benchmark was decided as US dollar, or for that matter, the gold rate, right? These two, you can say, benchmark were decided, that either you go with the US dollar as a particular benchmark for evaluating your currency, and secondly, the gold. However, when in 1973, you will find that the US dollar was hit by the de-dollarization process, because the numbers were plummeting of your US dollar. Then after 1973, there will not be any fixed exchange regime. Fine, countries shifted towards the floating exchange regime where they are no longer dependent only upon the US dollar. Fine. So the creation of World Bank and IMF, it came at the end of Second World War, that is 2nd September 1945. Idea started from 1944. Ultimately, the organizations were founded on after, you can say, after the Second World War. And who all were there behind the formation of these organizations? Mostly all the Western countries were involved, but mainly what is the name of all those important economists, all those economists who have been involved in the making of these particular organizations. Plus, there were certain, you can say, global leaders also who were involved. So, firstly, the name which everybody must have heard while studying the Bretton Woods institutions, it was the name of Henry Morgenthau. Fine, Henry Morgenthau was the US Treasury Secretary at that time. Second name, the Chief Economic Advisor of your US, it was Harry Dexter White. And the most important name for our exam, it would be British economist John Maynard Keynes. Fine, very, very important name, J.M. Keynes. We will be learning more about this gentleman in module B also when we talk about the macroeconomics as well as the theories of interest. Okay, so yes, extensively you'll be looking into the name of J.M. Keynes, his work also you'll be studying in module B. What was the aim of these Bretton Woods institutions? As I told you that there was a financial crunch thanks to the World War, and that was the only aim, initial aim, that we have to build the overall economy across the globe after the uh, end of World War. So to help rebuild the shattered post-war economy and to promote the international economic cooperation, we organized various, you can say, institutions into one. The original Bretton Woods Agreement also included plans for International Trade Organization, which is known as ITO. But the consensus was not there. Fine. The consensus was not there for the ITO formation immediately in the Bretton Woods Conference. But ultimately, a journal agreement on trades and tariff was signed by the countries, and the GATT framework was established. After a while, after you can say 50 years or so, you will find that WTO was formed in 1995. Okay, so in the Bretton Woods Agreement, there was an idea, one plan for the formation of International Trade Organization, which was never formed. But these lay dormant, never formed until WTO, World Trade Organization, was created in early 1990s. By logic, you can say 1995 was the year of establishment of WTO. So in between 45 till 1995 mid, which organization was there or which particular agreement was there for the trade activities across the globe? It was GATT framework. Okay, so we'll be looking into the GATT framework, your World Bank group, or for that matter, WTO also in a separate session, which will be conducted in our paid classes only. If you want to enroll in those paid classes, you can directly call us on this number, that is 0981 981 9247, and have the best details from our experts regarding various courses which are ongoing. Now let's move on to the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Why IMF is important? Because whenever there is a country who is not doing well, or for that matter, financial crisis has hit that particular country, IMF is the first one to react, right? React in a positive manner, laying the helping hand to that particular country. In the Asian uh, region also, you must have seen in the past 5 6 years, there are n number of countries who are facing the financial crisis, be it Sri Lanka, Pakistan, we have Bangladesh, Nepal also, I think 2 or 3 years back. So who is the first which is the first organization to provide the helping hand, provide the financial, you can say, support to that particular nation. It is always the IMF. So IMF seeks to ensure long-term growth and prosperity for all the 190 member nations. So what you have to remember, there are 190 member nations of IMF. More importantly, when we talk about the member nations, whether India is a member or not. So yes, India is a member, and it became a member on December 27, 1945. That you must remember. It promotes economic policies that encourage financial stabilities and monetary cooperation. Right? Monetary cooperation is a very, you can say, important phenomena in today's world, wherein we are divided via tariffs. Right? Various tariffs are being implemented by USA, and the world stands divided. In that particular light, if some organization is there out there which is laying a helping hand to various countries and providing the aim as the monetary cooperation, then it is a good signal for the entire global community. It was formed in July 1944 when the delegates from 45 countries met in Bretton Woods. And when we talk about India, it became the member in December 1945. Not only in IMF, but in our examination, you will also find question related to India's membership for World Bank Group. Fine. In World Bank Group, we have the five organizations. Fine. We have the IBRD, we have the IDA, then IFC for private investments, then we have MEGA for the FDI, and lastly we have the ICSID, which provides the forum for arbitration. So India is a member of all these four. Right? India is a member, but for ICSID who will have to learn that India is not a member. From the day one itself, India is not at all involved in ICSID because it is not happy with the ways of working of ICSID. Simple thing. But we will be looking into the World Bank Group in our paid sessions. In IMF, what type of question they can ask? See, International Monetary Fund, mostly we have seen they ask the question from the SDR, special drawing rights. What are these special drawing rights? Now, India supposedly has a reservoir of, let's suppose, 70 US dollar, 70 million US dollar, right? But right now, the IMF is not at all in picture. Let's just suppose one situation is there where India is holding 70 million US dollar. And just imagine that COVID hits again. So do you think that this 70 million dollar will be more than enough to compensate for the losses of COVID? Answer is no. Why? Because you don't know that what is the level of seriousness which might go around this pandemic. This is the case A. In case B, India is having a certain right which is held by the IMF on behalf of India, which is the special drawing right. Right? Special drawing right, in which India is having the same money, right? 70 million US dollar, but it is freely exchangeable. You can pick as a country that which particular currency you want to have it converted in, and ultimately utilizing it for your personal purpose. Personal purpose means for the entire country's benefit. So when we talk about A and B, in both the amount is same, but one is held within India, another one is with the IMF as a particular right. So always remember, whenever a country is having the SDRs, they hold a particular right over that reserve. Fine. And this individual reserve of India is just for one country. Similarly, we have 190 nations, 190 member countries. Here you see the first line. So 190 reserves are there, and clubbed together, these 190 reserves, can you say them as the international reserve? So an asset has been created with the IMF, and ultimately, when we talk about this asset which has been created, it is supplementing. the already present reserves of each country. So SDR is what? It is simply a supplementary international reserve asset, and we provide this particular asset to the needy country, whosoever is having financial crisis. So initially, when we talk about the SDR, you can always relate it with the unconditional liquidity. What is the main purpose of holding SDR? It is to ensure that your country has unconditional liquidity. No questions asked. Your country will have a satisfactory liquidity if you need it and you hold some SDRs. So starting, the definition of SDR was in line with the 0.888671 grams of fine gold, which was also equivalent to $1. It was till 1972. Okay, that the SDRs are equated with certain value of fine gold, which was equivalent to $1. But ultimately, this definition shifted towards the basket of currencies. Why? Because of the de-dollarization of the economies. In 1973, you will find that Bretton Woods system will collapse, and ultimately the countries they shifted to the floating exchange rate. And thanks to that floating exchange rates, IMF was also compelled to redefine the special drawing rights in line with the basket of currencies. And these basket of currencies you will be having in the form of five currencies, that is US dollar, euro, yuan, then you have Japanese yen and pound, sterling, the Britain pound. Okay, so we have USA here, then we have the European Union, we have China, whose currency is yuan, or for that matter, you can also call it as renminbi. And lastly, we have the Japanese yen. Okay, so these five currencies, they are clubbed together, and we define it as the basket of currency. And the SDR, it is reviewed every 5 years or earlier, and the value is determined on daily basis. Because one thing is for sure, the value of currencies, it changes, fine, it changes on daily basis. So basket of currencies value will also change on daily basis, and the value of SDR, which is dependent on the value of basket of currencies, it will also change. Okay, so this was it for today's class. If you want to know more about the unit number ninth, or you want to cover the entire IFS with us, entire JAB preparation with us, then definitely you can uh, consider the course, that is Mahapack, the JAB Mahapack 2.0, or for that matter, a more apt choice would be JAB Increment Mahapack, where you will be getting not only the perks of Mahapack, but also the physical practice sets of your physical books of your all the four subjects in JAB examination. Okay, so if you have any doubt regarding anything with whatever we have discussed, or you want to have your generic doubts clear, you can comment below in the comment section. We'll meet you in the next session. Till then, goodbye everybody, take care.